All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Aesthetics of Marketing Success, the podcast and YouTube show where we dive into real strategies that help aesthetic and wellness businesses grow smarter, not just harder. I'm your host, Ryan Plano, and today I'm excited to welcome a guest who brings a very deep understanding of what it takes to run a truly scalable business, Lyn Askin. Lyn is a certified EOS implementer. We're going to get into what that means soon. Over 26 years of experience in digital marketing and entrepreneurship. After facing pretty interesting major health crisis, Lyn restructured his own company from the inside out, tripling his revenue, creating more profit, creating a self-sustaining business, and now he helps other business owners apply these same principles to gain clarity, traction, and freedom. Today, we're going to talk about how aesthetic and wellness practices can use EOS to overcome common growth challenges, align their teams, and build a business that doesn't revolve around just the owner. So let's get into it. Lyn, welcome to the show.
It's so good to be here. I'm excited to hang out with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for taking time. We were just talking how busy you are, so I appreciate you taking the time here. And I'm just going to jump right in. For those that do not know, what is EOS and how did you get involved as an implementer?
Yeah, great question. It's a framework. It's a complete proven system for running your business. It's built with simple, practical tools that help entrepreneurial leaders get more of what they want from their business. When we help people with EOS, we help them get better at three things. All right. We help them get better with vision, which is getting everyone on the same page about where the business is going and how they're going to get there. We help them with traction, which is instilling discipline and accountability so that wherever you look in your business, you see people executing on that vision. And then, of course, healthy is really about building a leadership team that functions well, works well together. It's a cohesive unit that likes spending time together. And I became an implementer. I mean, you told a little bit of the story, but I, been an entrepreneur my whole life, ran a pretty successful marketing agency, but had a pretty massive health event or pretty frightening health event in October of 2020. I collapsed in my yard, had a massive bilateral pulmonary embolism. And as I was laying there dying, all I could think about was, what kind of mess did I just leave my wife and son? My wife was going to have to go to the office, lock the door, fire the team, lose the clients, clean up a giant mess, and then try to figure out a way to survive. I didn't have a business. I had a job because that business relied on me for so many things. There were so many things I had to put my fingers on every single day. And if I'd have died that day, my business would have died with me. And so obviously I put EOS in place, hired an EOS implementer, knew I needed to make a change. And again, had that remarkable transformation we talked about a little bit ago. 3 extra revenue, 7 extra profits, grew from 10 employees to 27, ultimately led to a successful acquisition of my company. And that process just changed my life. And I became an EOS implementer because I'm passionate about helping other business owners do exactly the same thing, break through the ceilings that they had in their business, simplify their operations. I saw firsthand how EOS transformed my own life and my own business. And I knew I wanted to help other people experience that same freedom, control, and growth.
That's great. So what I love about this is that you didn't just take a class or just, fumble on this. Like you lived it, you went through it and you experienced it. And the reason why it resonates with me so much personally is because you introduced me to EOS as well too. I think we had a call a while ago. We are just talking about, growth and things like that. And you said, why don't you just try this out? And you gave me, I think, a book or two to read. And I did. And it was remarkable, the change that it made. I don't quite have the story that you have, but it does follow the same path. I was at a point of like, man, I'm not sure what's going to growth. So one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on there is because I just feel like it's so valuable for every business to have something like this. But especially in the aesthetics and wellness businesses, what we see a lot is a lot of the providers, they excel at the clinical side. They're great, but they may struggle with the business side a little bit. So I realize this can work for most industries and most businesses, but how could EOS help maybe a wellness business owner kind of build structure around their operations and growth if they don't have a lot of really even experience on that business side compared to the clinical side?
I think you just described every business. Every entrepreneur starts out, because they're good at something and they're like, hey, we're good at this clinical thing and I'm good at talking with patients and I'm good. But to scale or grow, and to exceed your own capacity, you have to figure out how to clone yourself. And at that point, you got to figure out how to manage people. And so there's a lot to it, and they don't really teach you that as you're trying to figure out how to run a business. And so, I mean, we see this all the time. Again, EOS helps founders stop feeling like they have to do everything themselves. One of the things we do is we build an accountability chart that creates clarity around all the roles and responsibilities, so the owner isn't wearing all 12 hats. We define and simplify and clarify your processes so that your team can deliver consistent results. We got to make sure that we're delivering for our clients, every client, every time. We're doing the things that we must do. We're doing them the right way and the best way every time. And then we install like a meeting pulse and scorecards and things like that to help keep everybody focused and accountable and driving results. Now, I guess it's not about becoming a business person overnight, right? It's about getting the right structure in place so that you can elevate to your unique ability. We say we need to delegate and elevate to your unique ability so that you're doing what you love and what you're meant to do.
Great. Yeah. And the idea of being a business person is interesting, right? What does that mean? Like, it's like can you take classes and go to, I went to business school, but does that mean I'm a business person? No, I didn't know half of this stuff. But I think one thing I don't want people to think is that this is only for large businesses, corporations, companies, because it's not. And I would almost argue that it's probably more beneficial to, 5 to 15 employees, which a lot of the aesthetics and wellness practices have. Are there any like common challenges that you see on the size of a company that I'm just going to call it smaller, maybe 5 to 15 different employees that you've seen that EOS has been a good fit for or that works well with? Because I don't want people to think that this is only for when you get to a certain point. I think this can get you to the point you're trying to get to.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think when Gino founded EOS and when he started building it, he built it because you can go learn in business school how to run a Fortune 500, but they don't teach you how to run a small business. They don't teach you how to manage employees. They don't teach you clearly, I think we all can see that the skills required to run a business of that size versus the business of a team of, let's say, even 10 to 250 employees are way different skills. And so what we find and what we see most often in these smaller companies is the founder is really just stuck in the weeds working in the business. They never get an opportunity to work on the business and build that kind of growth and future that you want. We also find that, roles are really unclear because, we're all, we always say no job's too small and we all have to do what, we all got to chip in wherever. But when the roles are unclear, people drop the ball or step on each other's toes because when two people are accountable for something, nobody's accountable for something. And so we got to get really clear on our roles and responsibilities. They don't really have any consistent way to prioritize or track progress or solve issues. And then, the founder has a vision. They can kind of see where they want to go. Some of the time, I'm not saying always, but the truth is, unless everybody sees that same vision, and then we all have a different version of it in our heads, and it's really hard to get our arrows pointing in the same direction. And so I think it's really important that, again, with the founder having the vision, it's really difficult for the team to see it or execute on it if they don't really understand it. And so EOS sort of brings order to that chaos at any level. Now, if you're just solo, maybe it's not a great fit, but if you're creeping up near that, 5 to 10 employee mark and you're feeling the pain and the pressure, we put in simple tools like the level 10 meeting, for example. We put in a tool called the Vision Traction Organizer to get really clear on our vision. It's a simple 2-page document. This is not a 40-page strategic planning process we're going to go through, right? We're going to simplify everything. It's one of the first leadership abilities we teach you is that less is more. And then we build a simple scorecard that helps you make sure that the right people are doing the right things with clear priorities and real accountability.
Yeah, that's great. I noticed you said the term working in the business first. I think that's really important. That's something that I think a lot of people struggle with. I think a lot of people work in their business, right? As you mentioned before, you said you have a job, you're working in the business. What's kind of difference between working in the business versus working on the business? And then how does EOS kind of help make that shift to on the business?
Yeah, very good. It's a great question. Working in the business means that you're reacting all day.
Okay.
You're putting out fires, you're answering questions, you're doing the work. Working on the business means that you're thinking strategically, you're building systems, you're developing leaders, you're scaling your vision, right? And EOS gives you that space and the structure and the framework to make that shift. We do it through quarterly planning. We do it through weekly level 10 meetings. We do it through clarifying your priorities. And then you can start to step out of the day-to-day and truly lead and move yourself from technician to visionary.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen that firsthand. And you said it gives you the structure and kind of the opportunity to do it. I think that was a huge thing for us is that there's something in our calendar every time as a business. We know when the level 10 meetings are. We know I have time set aside to actually work on my EOS to-dos. And that just didn't exist before. And if you would ask me, well, I don't have time. I don't have time to do this. But following the structure of EOS and then making the time for that it's been a huge step. So that's great. Now I want to get back to this because I want to ensure that the people that listen to this, they're like, well, this isn't for me, or this is too business, or this is too technical. What would be like some signs that a business, and specifically maybe in aesthetics or wellness practice, you could have maybe a few employees might be ready for EOS? And then like, if we dive into some of those signs, like what's the best way to kind of start if you're not really prepared for a full implementation yet? Obviously you're an implementer, but what are some signs and like, how would you start if you weren't ready for like a full implementation of EOS yet?
Beautiful. I think you're ready for EOS if you're frustrated in your business and you know you need to change.
Okay.
Or doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity, right? Maybe you've hit a ceiling and you're stuck. You're cruising along. So hitting the ceiling is a common language we use in EOS. And what we mean when we say that is, you know, the feeling you're going along, things are going well, and then wham, you're stuck. Can't break through the ceiling. Maybe a revenue stick. You might be stuck as an entire company. You might be stuck as a department. You might just be stuck individually. So if you've hit a ceiling and you just can't figure out how to break through, you might be ready for EOS. If you're running your business and you're making decisions based on gut feel and not actual data and not numbers and not real objective information, you might be ready for EOS. If you've got good people, but they're not aligned and they're not executing, you might be ready for EOS.
Okay.
And if maybe you're not ready for full implementation. I mean, you can certainly self-implement EOS. I will say it is simple, but not easy. It's all there in the book Traction by Gino Wickman. It's all laid out exactly how to do it. The first step, I would say, take the organizational checkup. Go to eosworldwide.com, take the organizational checkup. It'll give you clarity on where your business is strong and where it needs help. And once you take that organizational checkup, it's 20 quick questions. It'll spit out a score and it'll tell you where you should focus and where you could be stronger. And then, of course, you can go to EOS Worldwide and download all the EOS toolbox. So you can download all the tools. You can start using the foundational tools of EOS. And when I say the foundation, what I really mean is, because we say less is more a lot, we believe in the 80-20 rule, right? What are the 20% of the tools that get us 80% of the way there? That's the foundational tools of EOS. And those 5 foundational tools are the Vision Traction Organizer, which is the VTO. It's where we create our vision. It's the accountability chart, where we get clarity on our roles and responsibilities and we start putting the right people in the right seats. It is our rocks, which is the piece that moves us forward every quarter because they are our biggest priorities and projects for the quarter. It is our scorecard, which is how we run our business from day to day on a weekly basis, looking at our numbers. And it's our weekly level 10 meeting. That's the foundational tools of EOS. There's a bunch of other tools. There's 20 tools in the toolbox. There's a bunch of additional tools. But if you want to get started, that's the foundation that you should think about. And those tools are free and they're so powerful.
Oh, it's excellent. Yeah, I just want to stress they are free and they're out there and they're all on the EOS Worldwide, I think it is, website.
Yeah.
Now you're saying things like level 10, you're saying things like scorecard, rock, VTO. which a couple of years ago, I would have no idea what you're talking about. Now they're just part of the language. We say L10 now. It's a little shorter than level 10. I would love for you, because we've kind of talked about the power of EOS, who can kind of use it, why you should use it. I'd love to kind of dive a little bit more. We don't have to go too far in this, because like you said, there's plenty of books out there. There's plenty of YouTube videos. There's a lot out there if you want to say how to take the next level. But how is, I think the first thing you mentioned was a level 10 meeting. You said, just start getting your level 10, do your VTO, get some rocks in place, rock speeding goals, get a level 10 going. How is the level 10 meeting different than just the typical meeting that people have? I have my version of what I think the difference, but I like to kind of hear from you as an implementer. Like, why is that level 10 meeting so powerful? But how's it different than what people are maybe doing on their Monday meetings, every week?
Sure. The level 10 meeting is an absolute game changer. When we ask our clients, when we do kind of a discovery call with them, and I say, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your meetings? Inevitably, across the board, I get 4s and 5s. I did it today. We averaged it out. They averaged 4.5 with a client that I spoke to this morning, a potential client. The level 10 meeting is designed to help you get those to a 10.
Okay.
And all it is, it's a 90-minute weekly meeting. It helps you check on the most important things in your business. We're going to look at that scorecard. We're going to make sure we're hitting our numbers. We're going to review our priorities with a review of our rocks. We're going to solve issues in our meeting every week, and we're going to keep our team focused. It's the best meeting that you'll ever have. There's more to it. We have a structure to it. There's some rules around it. There's things like that. But to keep it simple, meetings starts on time, it ends on time. It's the same day, it's the same time, and it uses the same exact agenda. This is what gives you guys that structure that you need. And we use that agenda, and it's got a timer on it, and we stick to that because that's what works. And again, we help you with some tools along the way to help you get really, really good at solving issues and reviewing scorecards and things like that. But it's designed to help keep you really, really focused. And I believe it's really solid on helping you guys have a great meeting.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And obviously, I have a little bit of personal experience with it, just from what you've shown me. I think the biggest change I saw with the level 10 meeting, I think can apply to most businesses, aesthetic and wellness and beyond, is that so many times we would be in our pre-level 10 meetings before we knew EOS, and we would talk and problems would come up, right? You're usually trying to figure out problems and probably shouldn't solve them in a meeting, but you do anyways. And we talk and talk and talk, and then we would leave the meeting and maybe 1 or 2 things would get solved. I thought you were doing this, you thought you're doing that. Now, when we have our level 10s, which I honestly, you said it's a great meeting. I look forward to the level 10, which might sound weird, but I don't look forward to a lot of meetings. But the level 10 look forward because I know so much is going to get done. And if there was a problem on a Monday or a Tuesday, we pop it in there and it gets into level 10 and it gets taken care of and it's accountable. And that was the biggest shift I saw just by going to level 10. That was super powerful. And I think that's something that most aesthetic and wellness businesses can use, because there's problems in everyone's business. So that's just a little anecdotal part about about how I use it as well too. So you mentioned some tools, obviously EOS Worldwide. You mentioned book. I think it was Traction. Are there any other books, websites, stuff like that? If someone's like, hey, I'm kind of interested, I don't fully understand this yet, it sounds interesting, but I want to know if it's for me. Is there anything else you direct people to kind of get their feet wet?
Yeah, for sure. I believe there's the visionary and the integrator are 2 different people and 2 different styles of people. I think the integrator is that really by the numbers, by the book person. I think Traction is great for an integrator to read. It's
Okay.
the manual of EOS. And I believe everybody should read Traction. I think it's really powerful. There's also another book called Get a Grip. And Get a Grip is a fable of EOS. And it's more of a story, and it's told well. And it's a kind of creative agency going through the process of installing EOS and meeting up with their implementer and the process that he takes them through. And it's a story. It's about a 3.5-hour audible listen. I think it's great for the visionary that needs to picture things. I would definitely do that. Other opportunities here for you, you can always message me. We do a 90-minute, no charge, they call it a 90-minute meeting where I meet with you, your leadership team. I learned about you, you learned about me. I open up the EOS fire hose and I show you all the tools. I show you all the tools that we use to help you get stronger in the 6 key components of EOS. Ultimately, just trying to see if there's a good fit for you here. No pressure, none of that. And so I do that with you and your leadership team. That's an option for you. But there's ton of resources. EOS Worldwide, their blog, the tools, if you want me to connect you with another implementer, there's tons of things that can help you really understand this process.
Okay. That's great. Yeah. And I would encourage, I think it does the same book you recommended to me. Like you said, Audible, it was great. It really gives a full picture of how it works. I think some people would definitely be ready to just start implementing and start getting to work. There might be some people out there though that are like, hey, I really want some guidance. Can you just quickly explain what your job as an implementer is? And how would that be kind of different if I just read some books and started running some level 10s? Like, what's the difference there?
Yeah, certainly would think that. I think, like I said before, you can self-implement EOS. It is simple, but not easy. If you are good at systems and running this kind of thing, you might not need EOS. But the truth is, most people on your team are not going to be able to really have the discipline, the accountability, the structure to do this well. And maybe it's you. Maybe you're really into it, and you're like, oh, I'm going to install EOS in my team. Well, now you don't get to participate in the meetings because you're so busy running the EOS part of it that we lose your voice and your vision and your brain power in that meeting. And so there's something really powerful about having an outside third party who's, I'm closing in on 200 full day sessions with clients. I'm getting close to that. There are EOS implementers with 1,000 sessions under their belt. And there's just the experience of that. And the outside third party voice is so strong, and I don't quite understand it, but your teams will listen to me more than they'll listen to you. And we've all done it. I did it the other day. I said to my wife, oh my gosh, my friend Gregory said this thing. And she's like, I've been telling you that for months. And you
Yes.
want to hear it from somebody else. She's like, I've been trying to tell you that. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I needed to hear it from somebody else before it sunk in. And there's some real power in having somebody else come and run this meeting for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's like the kids don't listen to the parents, but when the babysitter or the grandma comes in, all of a sudden they're doing it. I get it.
Oh
For
my
those,
gosh. There's a commercial on, right? I think maybe it's Geico, one of the insurance companies. Like the dad tells his kid something. He's like, oh, dad, and he doesn't listen. And then the TV dad says it.
yeah,
And I'm the TV dad.
you're the
So
TV dad. I like it.
TV dad come in and they listen to me. It's wild.
Oh, that's great. I mean, we can get into so many different things. There's so much to actually talk about, but I just wanted people to get an understanding of that there's a system out there that can help them and that can get started and honestly can get started for free and eventually move into something like that. So, for those people that are interested, where can they find out more about you in general? Or because I know just like, working with you before, you're very open talking to people, really giving advice, things like that. If people just want to talk to you or just get more information on how they can take some next steps, where would they find that for you?
I'm super easy to find. I think I'm the only Lyn Askin on the planet. And so, go to any of your favorite search tools and put my name. You'll find all of my socials. You can message me on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or anywhere that you want. Go to lynaskin.com and pick up the phone, call me. I'm really easy to find. We'll make sure that there's a contact info in the show notes or something like
Yes.
that.
Take care of it.
But yeah, I'm easy to find. Happy to have a quick conversation with you about EOS, see if it's a good fit for you. Happy to do that 90-minute meeting with you and your leadership team so you can get a deeper dive and make a better decision. And then at the end of the call, there's no pressure. At the end of the day, if this is a great fit for you, great. If I'm a great fit for you, great. But if EOS is not a great fit or I'm not a great fit, happy to refer you to another implementer, somebody who's more your style or whatever. Like, I just want you to run a better business and live a better life. So I want to help you.
That's great. That's what we're here to do too. Kind of take the guesswork out of some of this. Well, Lynn, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. We will put all that information in show notes, including some of the books and some of the things you said. Before we sign off, I would just, if anyone is even just remotely thinking about this, or they're on the fence, or like you mentioned, if they're just stuck somewhere in the business, I just highly, highly, highly recommend you try it. It's coming from personal experience. I know a bunch of other people that you've worked with. I've recommended it to a few people, and I just don't know what I was doing before EOS. I look back and I think of how much growth we've had, and I think how much growth other aesthetic wellness businesses can have. So I just highly encourage you guys to do this. Lynn, thank you again so much for your time, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.
There's a really quickly, there's this proverb that I love, and it says you should sit in meditation for 30 minutes a day. Unless you're too busy, then you should sit for an hour.
There it is.
If you're stuck in survival mode, you need EOS more than ever. EOS is not about doing more. It's about doing less better. It's about focusing on what matters the most. It's about delegating what's not yours to do so you can breathe again. If you don't have time for EOS, that's your wake-up call.
Yeah.
Wake-up call. If you don't have time for this, wake up. Like,
Bro.
EOS will give you back time. It'll give you back control, and it'll give you back your life.
That's great. I don't know how you argue with that. How do you say no to that? That's awesome. Well, again, Lyn, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. We'll put everything in the show notes, and we'll talk soon.
Absolutely my pleasure talking to you. If anybody needs help, just ask. We're here.
Awesome. Thanks.